Hey Mike, do you have a personal theory about what you think Bigfoot is?
Yeah, but I gotta preface it by saying that I don't have a fixed idea of what it is. In other words, I'm not stuck on any one 100%. So I'm going to give you a hypothesis I have now, which is my current favorite hypothesis, based on a number of different factors, and this could change, tomorrow if I come up with some new evidence that leads me in another direction. Okay? But right at the moment, and I'm tending towards thinking that Bigfoot is more of a hominid than a pongid, that it's, I don't think that, and I'm basing this, okay, the point of view is that I'm using the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot as the type specimen, okay? So we've stated that we believe this to be a real picture of a Bigfoot, and since, as far as I know, this is the only actual picture of a Bigfoot that I'm willing to accept 100% as being a Bigfoot, and that's the case. I believe 99.99999% that this is a Bigfoot. So, given that information, which of the fossils that we have from the fossil record that have been discovered is the best match for this? Now, Grover Krantz was probably the first to suggest Gigantopithecus. So, I have a Gigantopithecus skull here. This is the reconstruction that was made by Grover Krantz. Now, Gigantopithecus has been identified by its teeth and jaws. So this part down here, where all these teeth are, and this lower mandible part here, is the actual fossil that was discovered. Now, these rami that come up along the side, and the whole entire rest of the skull is a reconstruction. So Grover Krantz took this existing fossil jaw and then went about creating his best guess at what the original skull looked like based on the jaw. And as you can see, that jaw indicates that there has to be a really good sized skull in order for it to all fit together and operate as a jaw. So the zygomatic arches and so forth have to be in a certain place to work with these rami so that this thing goes together and all the musculature can be attached where it belongs. Okay? Now, what I want to point out is that this skull, first of all, is really huge. This is a human skull right here next to it. It's an adult human. And you can see that it's way big, and if I had a gorilla skull here, I could show you it's much bigger than that also. And also, when you look at the shape of the jaw, it's somewhat human-like. The human jaw has a very round, arched kind of shape to the mandible, and the ape jaws have more of a straightforward, boxy shape. Now, this Giganojaw is kind of in between. It's a kind of a V shape, so it's sort of like the curved human jaw, but not quite. But it's definitely not the ape jaw, which is very boxy and square. So these are some of the reasons that some anthropologists, including Grover Krantz and I think Jeff Meldrum also has been of the opinion that it's probably that Gigantopithecus was probably something separate from the gorillas and this sort of an ape, and in its own separate setting. And when Grover Krantz did this reconstruction, he did it as a biped. So he put the foramen magnum underneath the skull so that it would mount like this, which gave it a pretty much of an upright walking position with a slight forward lean, and that's what is exhibited in the Patterson film. So I think he was also using that for some of his cues as how he might put this together. But the problem I have with this is that the skull, to accommodate the huge muscles needed for this gigantic jaw, has reduced the cranium size down to what is considerably smaller than the human cranium and considerably smaller than this other cranium. And this other cranium is from a fossil that was dubbed Meganthropus. Now, some anthropologists would say, well, Meganthropus, that's an extraneous word. That's creating a new species where it isn't necessary. This is actually Homo erectus. It's just a little bigger than the average Homo erectus. Well, whether you want to call it an extra large Homo erectus or you want to call it Meganthropus, both those things are pointing towards a hominid that is decidedly more human-like than is the Gigantopithecus skull.